Yeah. You know what I've never heard? I have never heard a person come out and just willingly say that they're alienating the other parent. I mean, it's crazy. You you never hear a parent say, "Oh man, this is hard, but I guess I signed up for it by keeping the kids away from the other parent." And I wonder why. I wonder why they never come out and say, "I'm a single parent by choice." Seems like I'm being facetious and coy, but I'm actually not. I sincerely want to know, has there ever has there ever been a parent that comes out and says, you know, I wish I hadn't have kept my children away from their other parent? When the kids get older, does that parent say, child, or my child, I apologize for the unnecessary and unjust scrutiny and complication and degree of difficulty that I needlessly put on your life? And I wonder if it has something to do with the omitting, circumventing, and flat out lying that one has to do when they are indulged in such endeavor. See, I wonder if the reason why they can't do it is because they've played the victim, or they've shamed, slandered, and smeared the other parent to so many people that it would just make their world collapse. It would make their whole net and web of support structure collapse. I wonder if that's what it is. I wonder if it's because when people do this and they end up getting assistance and subsidized breaks on expenses, I wonder if it's because they have to tell lies to whatever agency or entity is helping or assisting them. For example, if you go to a homeless shelter and you want to stay at a homeless shelter, you can't be like, yeah, I got a two-bedroom apartment across town and I also own a, you know what I'm saying? Like, they'll probably be like, well, you're not homeless. This shelter is for homeless people, and you have a home. It's like, well, yeah, I know. I mean, I stayed there last night, but I just kind of, and you just come up with some, you know what I'm saying? I imagine it would be like, no, you don't fit the criteria. So I wonder if it's that. I wonder if the reason that they don't come out and admit, hey, I'm alienating the other parent. I wonder if it's because their whole identity, or the primary bulk of their identity, is being a single parent. That is to say, their literally, yeah, their whole image is based on some struggling, going against all odds, I shall overcome individual. See, if they don't tell the world, if they don't tell the masses, do they at least look themselves in the mirror and say it, so as to be like, hey, like, do they have to give themselves a pep talk? Like, hey, we've been at this for I don't know how many years now. We gotta we gotta keep up this this story. We've got to keep the narrative strong. Don't you crack on me. Don't you get weak on me. Consistency. Like, or is it like, we're not wrong, they are? You know, do you have to pep yourself up for that? Do you, I don't know. It's just so foreign to me. It's something that I don't think I will ever understand. Let's see here. I want to be hypothetical. So what if things were to change? What would make things change? If you have been keeping children away from the other parent for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, if you've been doing that, what makes you break character? And I do mean character, because you are a fictional character. You're not a realistic person at this point. You are a character. So, what makes you break character? And I'm trying to imagine the things that would happen to make someone break that character. Is it because you find new spirituality? Is it because you just get a resurrection of faith, or you find faith? Is it because your subconscious betrays your conscience and you just feel so overwhelmingly convicted and guilty that you just break? Like you, like I said, you look at yourself in the mirror and you give yourself that pep talk like, hey, they'll continue to believe us as long as you believe us. We got to believe our story, and we got to stay consistent with it for everyone else to believe it. Like, does it get to a point where the image in the mirror looking back at you says, we can't do this anymore? We can't do this anymore. We're wrong. We're wrong. Like, like, do you have to have a nightmare? You have to have just one nightmare, or maybe a couple of them, before you decide to give that up? Do the children have to turn on you? Because I imagine there comes a point where they're going to get of an age and they're going to start asking questions. And the questions probably aren't going to seem like inquiries, like just questions. They're probably going to seem like an interrogation at that point. And you got to be consistent when you're being interrogated, especially if you're guilty, right? That's the whole, that's generally how people end up getting caught up. They get interrogated and they, even when it comes to, well, it is criminal as far as I'm concerned. What I'm talking about is a crime. But, when it comes to these criminal murder cases and whatever the case is, you got some detective or investigator asking them questions and they look for inconsistencies or just something that just flat out doesn't add up or something that's just not true. And then they home in on that. That's got to be what it's like when your kids get old enough and they start asking you questions. Does your subconscious remember lies that you've told over and over and over and over again? Or do you eventually slip up? And then when you slip up, like a child that's innocent and doesn't even know of this type of evil to exist in the world, see, that's something you have to learn. But since they can't even entertain something. I mean, maybe they can imagine, but I feel like until you get to a certain age, I'm talking about just like an early teenager or even you know, somebody 13, 14, 15 years old. They're probably going to home in on you. They're probably not going to let it go. They catch you slipping up on your story. What do you do in that situation? It's interesting. Do you just finally, do you try to retract and correct the part that that you slipped up on? Do you have an emotional temper tantrum to kind of distract and deflect it away from them digging deeper? Do you go into an anger fit of rage and try to intimidate them from ever asking you questions like that again? Do you break down and just tell them the truth? Oh, whoa. Can you ever tell the truth? And if you do tell the truth after years of alienating a parent, who do you tell the truth to? Do you tell it to everybody? Or do you just start with your kids first or your child? Do you tell everybody that you can? Here's another thing. So, what does it do to a person when you know that you are wronging not only your kids, but an individual, and maybe even individuals that are associated with that ostracized, alienated parent? What does it do for the spirit? What does it do for your mind? What kind of mind do you have? Because surely after you tell your lies and deceive everyone, there's going to be others that rally to your cause. There's going to be others that champion your cause. There's going to be people praying for you. There's going to be people that are in disdain for that parent that you have victimized and currently victimize and misrepresent to them. They're going to be saying all types of mean things. What do you do? How do you go about that when they get to, like, well, karma will come back around to them. Well, they'll get what's due to them. That uh leave them in God's hands. God will take care of them. You just focus on your kids. Like, what do you do? Like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, duh, duh, buh, buh. Like, you got, like, what do you? How do you? These are interesting questions. I guess I'm making this video. I ain't even really giving my, like, perspective or experience. But I'm just curious, like, how you even play that off. That is that is like being on Broadway 24/7. That is like being in a movie 24/7 for years, a decade. That has to bring about some type of mental stress and trauma. So, what does it take for you to break character? Let's say all of the lies and falsehoods that you now consider your reality. Let's say you get in a relationship or meet someone and they come true. Like, you make someone out to be the boogeyman and just a threat that should be avoided at all costs, and then you actually end up with someone who's a threat and should be avoided at all costs, will that make you pick between the lesser of two evils? Like, well, this person over here is actually evil, but this person over here actually isn't evil. I'm actually the evil person when it comes to this person over here. They're not perfect, but they're not evil. And comparatively, I'm the evil one as far as the dynamic goes with this person over here. This person over here is just flat out. Is that what it takes? Does it take your support structure calling you out on your bullshit? Hear me out. So if you got one child, okay, all right, that's one thing. But if you've got multiple kids, it seems like it'll get to a point where people will notice a pattern. Like, okay, it's always everyone else and never you. Or what are you telling them? Are you telling them that it's everyone else and not me? Are you taking any accountability? Do you ever do anything wrong? Are you just that person that's 0 for 6, 0 for 7, 0 for 8, 0 for 9, 0 for 10? How do people go? Like, is that possible that you actually go like, does that type of bad luck even exist? Where every relationship you've been in just ended catastrophically with you on the short end being a victim, and it's always genuinely never your fault. You're never actually the abusive, toxic, destructive person. It's always the other person. Does that kind of luck even exist? And if so, I start to question the people around this type of individual. Because not only does apparently that luck exist, but these people actually believe that there is somebody that's this unfortunate and is going through that sounds like a curse to me. That sounds like a bad omen. And I'm not talking about you uh open an umbrella inside, or you walked under a ladder, or you a black cat crossed your path 3 times, or you broke a glass mirror. Like, none of that crap. Like, no, like, Lord forgive me for using this example, but it applies. That sounds like you in the book of Job, part 2. Everything just go wrong. Everybody that you get in a relationship with is just bad. All of your all of the parents, or maybe you got all of the kids with one parent. It really gets tricky when you got them by several parents. All of them were just. Do we ever get to the point where we say, okay, assuming that this is true, what is it about you that just attracts decadent people. Like, this has to be a curse. Are you in the Bible? If they were to make a modern day Bible, would they have you in it? Because that's crazy. I don't know. You know, people get stung by bees. People get in car accidents. People get diseases. Um, you know, unfortunate things happen to people, but just back to 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 back. Do people start to notice a pattern in you? Good Lord, you always getting stung by. You got stung by a wasp last month, then you got stung by a hornet 2 weeks ago, then you got stung by a nest of yellow jackets last weekend, then you got stung by a bumblebee yesterday. Um, are you a beekeeper? Uh, do you have some job that pertains to handling insects? You'd be like, no, no, I'm a fashion designer or something. I work inside. It's like, well, how does this keep happening? You've gotten in how many wrecks this year? Are you a race car driver? Do you do destruction derby? You know, the thing where they're all just in an arena and they're trying to wreck each other? Like, no, 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 I don't even have a license or own a car. Well, how do you keep getting in all of these wrecks? No one asked these questions. I'm gonna just transfer it over, and I'm gonna say it, and it might sound kind of messed up, but how stupid are the people believing your testimonies at this point? Everybody all like, oh, you go, you can do it. How ignorant must they be at this point? You you done came down with every disease known to man, but somehow you beating it. Like, do you live in a radioactive area? I don't understand. Are you do you live in a do you work in a bio lab with where they keep diseases? Are you injecting your cells with them? You done got syphilis, hay fever, the bubonic plague, scarlet fever, SARS, uh, the measles, smallpox, AIDS, cancer, leukemia. That, again, are you a character in the Bible? Who is reading your book and convinced by it? And then this is the last question. I'm going to leave it. Are these people just entertaining you for the sake of the children? Is it one of those things where you're a grown ass adult, but just to keep the peace, they go along with it? Do they know you're lying? Do they deep down inside, or at least at the very least, do they deep down inside have a feeling like, man, this is a grown adult sitting here growling like a lion and walking all fours, talking about they the king of the jungle or the queen of the jungle. Like knowing damn well you're a human being, you're not a lion. This ain't a jungle, but it's cute and it means a lot to you. Like right now, like how you do with little kids. Look, I'm a dinosaur. Just run around like, I'm a pterodactyl. I'm a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And you don't want to like tell your kid like your little you don't want to tell your little 2 or 3 year old kid like, man, you ain't no damn dinosaur. You are not Tarzan. You're not the Little Mermaid. You're not Batman. You don't want to tell them that because it'll break their heart. Is that what people are doing to this grown ass adult at this point? Do they not want to break the adult's heart? Do they understand that the facade and image that this adult is pushing uh is sequential to the best interest of the kids? Does that make sense? Do people know like, well, you know what, in the best interest of the kids, I'm just gonna kind of endorse this crap, because if this is what makes her strong, if this is what makes if this is what makes her Rosa Parks story, never mind the fact that you you not Rosa Parks, you not standing up, you not having to be resilient and strong. You more like Rosa Parks, who got on the bus and they were like, "Oh, hello, my black queen. Uh, we saved a front seat at the bus for you." And you was like, "No, you can't do that. I gotta call me nigger and be mean to me and tell me to go sit in the back. Like I need this. Like otherwise I have no story. You can't just give me a front seat. Like I gotta be Rosa Parks. I gotta fight social injustice and lead other people to boycott the bus system and like make an impact. I have to have injustice and racism be done upon me to be Rosa Parks. I can't just be getting like what? Otherwise I'd have to lie. Just make you wonder, like just think about that. Just think about how many people, hypothetically, if the Rosa Parks story of her being on a bus is in fact not true and is all a bunch of bullshit. Think about how many people have to be in on that. The bus driver, the other passengers that were on the bus, her herself has to never break or contradict the story and testimony she gives. Everybody has to line up. Like, this is a lot of work. There's so many people involved in the lie at this point. She got to tell her kids that. She got to tell her friends that. And then when word of mouth starts to go around and other people be like, "Oh, I heard what happened to you," you got to remember the lie you told. I don't. This is just crazy. Do these people? Uh, how foolish do these people have to be? I'm just saying. Either they're foolish and they sincerely believe it, or are they, like I said earlier, sincerely asking, like, are they just going along with it just to keep the peace? Just because they know how much this lie means to you? It's nuts. I just, I sincerely pray for these type of people, you know, and I can only imagine being, hmm, I don't even have to imagine actually, but let me just say it this way. I send out my prayer for the person who's actually having to go through that, because there's only certain people who will know the truth once a myth, a fable, a tall tale, a folklore gets pushed that far with that many people. It's almost like the only people that I know at that point is the individual and God. And maybe, actually, I'm not even going to say maybe. I'm going to say highly likely people who have been exposed to that individual. People who maybe know that individual personally. People that know, like, yeah, that don't sound like that person. Something is not adding up. That's not the person I know. What I'm hearing over here is absolutely not the person that I know. And it's probably really interesting for them too, because what do they do? Or what if they actually flat out know the truth, but they are in the microscopic majority? And when I say that, I mean out of like 100 people, they're like the 5 people who know the truth. And there's 95 other people over here with the picket signs like, yeah, yeah, and the pitchforks just, yeah, 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 yeah. But they're just, man, kudos and strength to those people. Because it has to come to a point in time where people are like, well, why aren't you, where's your kindling and gasoline for the burning at the stake? We're burning said individual at the stake. Why aren't you joining? How do they, man, you know what? Respect to those people, because I call that a fortitude. I call that a tenacity. Those people got to be really strong, especially knowing that they almost can't even refute or rebuttal, or maybe they do. I don't know. Because I know I would. I don't care if the whole masses is believing in some story that's not true. I'm not. I mean, but I guess I'm just different. I mean, for my own peace and sanity, I probably wouldn't go out of my way to oppose them and confront them. But in no shape or form would I go along with it. And if ever push came to shove and I had to speak on it, I would I would speak what's in my heart and what I honestly believe to be true. So like, it must be tough on those individuals, but I have the utmost respect for those individuals. Anyway, Let me know what y'all think about this situation, because this is a real serious issue in society and in this world. And if you're going through this type of thing, I pray for you. If you have had to go through this type of thing from any angle, be it you are the alienated parent, I pray for you. You are the child or children having to deal with some mess that doesn't even have any place in your life, something that you were born into. I pray for you that things work out. If you're of the mob or of the bamboozled and hoodwinked that's supporting such treachery, I pray for you, whether you're doing it conscientiously or unconscientiously. If you're those few on the outskirts that kind of know the truth or know of and haven't fallen for this deceit, I pray for you. And last but not least, if you're the person, if you are the person doing this to someone, doing this to your children, doing this to those who trust and believe in you, I pray for you too. That's, yeah, you just pray for everybody. That's what, and not have malicious feelings of discontent for any of the people involved in that type of scenario. And I guess I'll leave it there. Deuces.